Some of the most common misconceptions about ALS.
Well, I think it's even having people understand what ALS is. And I was recently reading something from one of our community members that said, you don't know ALS until you know ALS. And that very much is the way that so many people are introduced to it, because we think we might understand a little bit about it, maybe from the Ice Bucket Challenge, maybe from a movie or something that you saw. But it's hard to understand until you've truly experienced it, that somebody can go from, just like you and I are sitting here today having a conversation, to suddenly maybe slurring your speech or being unable to, walk down a flight of stairs. Maybe you start to trip a little bit, or maybe you start to struggle to write. And then we start to see the progression of the disease take hold. And the reality is that it can strike either of us. We have a 1 in 300 chance in the course of our lifetime of receiving a diagnosis, or for the families who have very specific genetic mutations. For them, it could be 1 in 2 people that might receive a diagnosis within a family, or in some cases, every person receives it. And it's when you start to see that progression and you recognize that, just as we are here today, that very quickly we could go from needing to be using a walker, to needing a push wheelchair, to needing a power tilt wheelchair, and all of the devices and mobility equipment that you would need around you to be able to help to support you as you lose your ability to be able to walk, to talk, your ability to speak, your ability to swallow, to breathe. It's very debilitating, and that's part of what is so important about ALS Awareness Month.
Please tell us, what are some of the biggest issues facing those who live with ALS?
Well, I think the first aspect that's, a challenge for the community facing ALS is actually time. And often that can even start right from the very beginning with the time to diagnosis. ALS is a complex disease, and there's many ways that it manifests itself. And so for somebody to be able to start to track some of those symptoms and to be able to get to the point of getting to an ALS clinic and receiving that diagnosis, in Canada, we know that that can take over 20 months. And when you consider that the average life expectancy for a person with ALS is 3 to 5 years, that takes very, very valuable time. So ALS Canada has worked in collaboration with some of the clinicians and some industry partners to be able to develop even a Refer ALS tool. It's a great tool that we host on our website. It's there for family doctors to be able to utilize, and essentially helps them to understand what are some of those symptoms so they can make that referral, to an ALS clinic more quickly. And in fact, we know that people have actually used it to advocate for themselves when they've wanted to get that referral earlier. So it's already working, and we've only had it for a couple of years now.
How can Canadians get involved?
Well, one is to share stories. One is to learn more. Come to our website. There's so much and a wealth of information at als.ca that can help people to have a better understanding of the disease, and also what they can do to support people maybe within their own networks that may have the disease as well. Because that awareness helps to reduce some of that challenge that people have because they feel so incredibly isolated. And then we have events that happen in June. There's the Walk to End ALS. We have over 22 walks here in Ontario alone. We have virtual walks across the country, and again, other actual sites that are happening in some of the provinces. So walktoendals.ca is a great place to start. And we see that, yes, the walks are an incredible fundraiser to be able to support research and to be able to support the very services that people need that we're providing and the other societies are providing in a province. But even more so, they really are about community coming together so that people don't feel isolated. So they might see and meet other people that have experienced ALS, but also so that they can have that incredible network and community come together around them to know that they're not alone on this journey.